Good evening, guys, and a very hearty welcome, thrice welcome to this webinar on whale shark. I'm telling you, like I wrote in my flyer, it's a astonishingly beautiful creature, and the kind of torture that it goes through for its liver, that is really, that will just break your heart. It broke my heart when I met Farooq and Charan, when I went to the COP13, Sudhir and I went there, and then when they told us the story, I was like, my God, I must do something about it. I must do something for the magnificent creature, for no fault of his. He goes through so much undescribable and mind-numbing torture. So this is my way, my little way of taking it to the people, especially those 40 of you who came here, so that you will know what happens and how the Wildlife Trust of India turned it around. It conserved that creature, and it, with community participation, the killing is not as bad as it was now. So we are thankful to the Wildlife Trust of India, and they'll tell us all about the whale shark story. Please stay with us, and we'll take you, Charan and Farooq will take you on a journey to, tell you all about the whale shark conservation, which is a success story. So before we begin, I'll take a little time to tell you about our society. Deccan Birders is a 150 members strong bird society, which was founded in unified Andhra Pradesh, and now we have divided Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. But then, we still do birding in both the states, calling it one. As far as the birds are concerned, there is no bifurcation for the birds. All the birds are both the states are ours. So we take our bird watcher members and non-members also on birding trips every month, twice, and then we go out of station. We've been to Gujarat, Farooq and Charan, several times. So Gujarat has fantastic flamingos right by the road, so many of them. And we've been twice to Gujarat. We loved it. And then this is what we do. And also we do the Asian waterfowl census. We count water birds during December, January, and February. And we send the data to Wetland International in Netherlands, which will in turn give us feedback about the lake health and the, food available for the birds, the migrants that come in, etc. So we are so happy to have you with us. Please come and join us for our webinars also. Gautam will give you the link, and please visit our website. And
Sure,
now
ma'am.
the floor is all yours. Charan and Farooq, all the best to you guys. We are waiting. We can't wait to hear you. Okay, can everybody please switch off their videos, please, and audios also, and let the speakers take the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for the introduction. And it's a great platform to meet everyone apart from this marine related people as well. So I hope everyone watched that video of Shore of Silence. So that
Yes.
everyone, most of them got an idea of what are whale sharks and what has been happening to the whale sharks and what we are doing. So I don't know how much of you are from marine background. I heard Amrita is marine biologist. So
I'm a diving instructor. I'm not a marine biologist.
okay,
I'm just
you are
an
only
instructor.
diving. Okay,
I'm just an instructor.
Okay. So can everyone see the screen that I shared?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to give the brief about what are whale sharks and why they are coming, and then Farooq will take over from that, and then he will describe about our conservation part, what WTI did, and what is the successful story, And then again, I'm going to take over research part, research on whale sharks. So I'm going to start now. So once Mahatma Gandhi told, Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's greed. So this is the proof of that greed. So the killing, just because they want that oil from that liver, and they don't even use this tissue, I mean meat. They're going to export it. They are not going to consume it. They're not going to do anything with it. They're going to export it, and just for that, they used to kill these huge gentle giants. And today I'm going to talk about what is whale shark and their distribution, habitat, and then migration, why they are coming, where they are going, and then what we have observed so far and what we have done so far. So, so what is whale shark? Whale shark is a shark. That's a simple answer. Due to this huge size, when you compare it with whale is a mammal species. This is not a mammal. This is a fish which belongs to shark family. So when you compare with the whale, due to the size, big like as a whale, and it belongs to shark, so it's whale shark. These gigantic species are highly migratory. They uh, tra- travel a long distance from one continent to other continent through uh, for the various feeding and breeding. And these whale sharks are filter feeders. They filter water. They'll be most of the time they'll be on surface, and they'll travel along under the surface, and then they feed. They suck the water and they filter it for the phytoplankton and the small krill species, which is in Gujarat. If you're coming to Gujarat, then it will be Jaula, the Acetus indicus species. Majorly for that, these whale sharks come to this Gujarat, and then as you all most of the people know, this world's largest fish, this whale shark, and these are largely sorry, these are largely migratory species, and their reproduction. When it comes to the reproduction, these are uh, oviviviparous. So you might know all bird watchers will know what is oviparous. It'll lay eggs, but when it comes to the whale shark, it will lay eggs in the body itself, and then it will hatch in the within the womb itself. It will hatch, and then it will produce young ones. This oviviviparous. So I'm playing a video. I hope everyone can watch the size, about the size.
Whale sharks have been known to grow up to 20 meters and weigh as much as 30 tons. About the weight of
So these whale sharks size about 20 meters and weights about 30 tons. It's like when you compare it with a fully loaded bus, the weight and then length. And coming to this feeding, as I told you, these are filter feeders, and then it'll stay on the surface most of the time, and then it feeds on the phytoplankton, small juvenile fishes, and then krill species. So you can see the video of you can see how it is feeding. It's sucking the water inside and then filtering through the gills. See those gills, 5 gills moving around. And when it comes to the distribution part, so this is the global distribution where you can find whale sharks. This uh, blue color area is complete. They're traveling this migration area, and then small dark blue colored locations are this aggregation spots, major aggregation spots in the around the world. And this is near Gujarat. You can see the biggest one. This is the major aggregation spot in India. And when it comes to the India, these are the major aggregation spots around the east coast and west coast. You can see Gujarat is a major aggregation spot, and then coming to the second one is Andhra Pradesh. And now, as BC sir told, we are going to implement a new project over there. And then Tamil Nadu, Odisha, and Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep, we have already started. It's undergoing. Lakshadweep and Kerala together. So these are the major aggregation spots around the Indian coast. And then when it comes to the why they are coming to these Indian waters, what is the reason? So usually these, as I told you, these are highly migratory species. So they're going to travel in tropical waters. They are stick to tropical waters. There are the few more sightings in cold waters as well, and north coast of New York. They have found these whale sharks in cold waters as well. But apart from that sighting, rest of the all the sightings and aggregation spots are stick to this tropical region. And why they are coming is they travel to find the food and then breeding grounds, the feasible breeding grounds and feeding grounds. So they mainly come for feeding and breeding, and then so for the breeding along the Indian coast, for the breeding proofs, we have got 5 pup records. I'll show you the video in coming slides. Pup, the smallest, small young ones. If you compare the size of the whale shark, it will be around very large. And then when it comes to the baby of it's very small. It's the neonat is considered from 50 centimeters to 70 centimeters. That's the size of it. When you compare meters, and now if you see the baby, it will be very small. And then feeding, this is the species Aedes indicus. I told you, you can find it in Gujarat and Maharashtrian waters more. And then tuna, juvenile tuna, it will feed on. See, this is the video of whale shark pup, the smallest. This whale shark pup, we have this video got from a fisherman. He had rescued the whale shark pup from near Sutrapada, Gujarat. And it is around 54 centimeters. See how cute it is. So now I'm taking from Farooq will take over from here. Farooq.
Charan, Farooq got disconnected actually. He's not in the meeting. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes.
Oh, did anyone call?
Yeah.
So till then, you can, if anyone has any doubts, you can ask. I can.
I have a small addition to add when it comes to the
Yeah.
distribution in the Andamans. Whale sharks have been spotted since the last 3 years. They come there during the months of from February to April. They come there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But even in
Hello.
hello.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
used to work
when it
in
comes to
the
the Gujarat coast, it will. Yeah, please continue.
So I used to work in the Andamans like 1.5, 2 years ago, and I have spotted the whale shark over there. So the main region of distribution over there in Andamans will be somewhere near Havelock and also Barren Islands, because Barren Islands is near the volcanic region and the water over there is really warm and it is filled with planktons and krills. So those are the places you will definitely
Yeah.
find the whale shark at.
Okay. So have you seen anyone?
I have seen it. In fact, one of the sightings
Okay.
I've had in Andamans, I almost landed on the whale shark.
Ah,
Like I almost like
that's great.
fell, like I almost like got in the water and like the whale shark went right underneath me. So it was like that.
Oh, that's really nice.
Good experience, Amrita. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Farooq is back.
Awesome.
Okay.
Hello everyone, good evening. Sorry, I was out from this platform. Hello everyone, I'm Farooq from Wildlife Trust of India and welcome you all on this virtual platform of learning. And have tons of thanks to Surika and Deccan Birders for bringing us all together on this platform to learn about the conservation story of world's largest fish, the whale shark. I'll share the screen, mine. Uh, yeah. Is everyone able to see the screen?
Yes, Farooq.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll talk about the 360 degree turn of whale shark slaughtering story on Gujarat coast. So the whale shark introduction, if I want to give an introduction to whale shark, is of two words only. The first is the whale shark is the world's largest fish, as well as it is an endangered marine animal, especially in context of the Gujarat coast. So I'll talk about the public-private partnership model. Yeah. So why it is a matter of concern? Why we need to conserve the whale shark? Why there was a need to conserve the whale shark on Gujarat coast? Is basically because of this on your screen. There was a mass hunting prior to the year of 2000, but this practice is no more nowadays in anywhere in the Gujarat coast. So I'll talk about the conservation of whale shark. Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Farooq. Little
Yes,
bit
yes,
louder,
Farooq.
maybe.
Yes, Farooq.
Okay. So the public-private partnership model of whale shark along the Gujarat coast is how the community has got engaged in this model. I'll little talk. I hope all the participants may have seen this documentary of Shore of Silence, which talks about which shows how the hunting was taking place on Gujarat coast. Talking about the background, the whale shark was first recorded in 1883, and it is a regular whale shark is a regular visitor of Gujarat coast for the feeding and breeding that Charan will talk about. It was slaughtered basically because of the liver oil, fins, and meat. The fins were exported, and the liver oil was locally consumed. There were there are some statistics of whale shark landings. So during the month of December 1999, there were 145 individual whale sharks were hunted in in a single month. And there was a single day, which is September 15, 2000, in the year of 2000, where there were 40 individual whale sharks were recorded landing in Gujarat. And it was a Friday, and we called it as a Black Friday. Later to that, the movie was, the entire issue of hunting was pointed through the documentary called Shores of Silence by Mike Pandey. And with the help of that documentary, WTI lobbied with the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, to place to provide the legal protection to this massive species. In the month of May 2001, the whale shark was placed under the Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act, India. It was also placed in the Appendix 2 of CITES and listed in the endangered category of the IUCN Red List. So here you can see the conservation status of whale shark is as per the IUCN Red List data that was last assessed during 2016. It is now it is endangered animal. Okay, so there are very few categories to reach at the extent. So this is a highly concentrating animal to be conserved. So now the conservation story begins with how the unknown fish, when it was hunted brutally on the Gujarat coast, how this unknown fish has become a pride of Gujarat during this 1.5 decade. So let us start with the project foundation. The Whale Shark Conservation Project was established during 2004. Basically, a multi-collaboration of these 4 stakeholders: the Gujarat Forest Department, Tata Chemicals Limited, Wildlife Trust of India, and the fisher community of Gujarat. So the project fundamentally functions on 3 aspects, 3 pillars. There is a research component, rescue and release management, and the communities to sensitize, to make them aware, to increase their participation and take the pride. So the research part will be again, the Charan will be taking after my turn. I'll talk about the rescue and the communities. How we have engaged the community, how we have organized the community to make them sensitized and to conserve this animal on their home. This is a global distribution of the whale shark. Charan has already talked about, but this is a tropical belt, and India is among that range state. Whale sharks in India, it is distributed all along the Indian coastline, but we have more records of aggregation or the occurrences on the Gujarat coast, and this is where we work. We work on the field in Gujarat. This particular belt of around 140 kilometers of coastal range on Gujarat, that includes the Mangrove, Veeraval, Sutrapada, and Dhamra. So we are currently based at Veeraval, which is on the Saurashtra coast of Gujarat. So how the story began? So prior to 2001, because of the lack of protection and awareness, the whale shark were extensively hunted across the shore of Gujarat. So lobbied the WTI lobbied with the Ministry of Environment and Forest, and the whale shark was the first fish which was placed under the Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. It was given a legal protection under the Indian Wildlife Law during the year of 2001, and subsequently WTI conducted a survey which revealed that the fisher community of Gujarat were having a low awareness level. So basically, the project strategy began with the large-scale campaign in 2004 in partnership with Gujarat Forest Department, Tata Chemicals Limited, and WTI as an implementing agency. So the campaign was launched in 2004, and the spiritual leader of Morari Bapu, he's a brand ambassador of this project. He appealed to the fishers of Gujarat because the large community fisher community of Gujarat followed. They are the great followers of the spiritual leader Morari Bapu. So Morari Bapu appealed that whale shark is our daughter and we should protect instead of killing the animal in our homes. It is a guest of our state and we should be honor of that. So Morari Bapu sensitized the community, saying that the whale shark is our daughter. It comes to our shore, our home to breed the baby. Okay, and we should protect her instead of killing them. So the message was later converted into the professional skit. So the professional skit pairs are performing the street plays all along the Gujarat coast at different fishing locations where there were the hunting issue. Parallelly, only the fishers were knowing that the whale shark, how the whale shark looks like. Like we say that the whale shark is the world's largest fish, but how big it is. So we came up with an idea of making a life-sized inflatable model, which was used as a tool to spread the awareness with the fishing community as well as the non-fishing community of the state. So this is a unique thing we have been taking help of that to spread the awareness, and that has got the attention of people. Like anything, like the fishers have got the proud of that. I have some slides in my presentation ahead where the fishers are themselves inviting whale shark is to be a part of their releases celebration also. So they are asking us to please provide your whale shark inflatable model. We want to take that all along with our ritual celebrations also. So followed to 2004, during the 2005, the Postal Department of Gujarat came out with a special postal cover. So I said in the beginning that the whale shark conservation project of Gujarat is a multi-stakeholder strike. So how can the Postal Department can't be a part of that? So they also came up with a special postal cover. Yeah. So this is about the rescue details. In my first slide of the presentation, I told about the rescue records. The fundamental threat to this massive animal was the hunting by the fishers. But the second most concerned threat was, like, we have been able to reduce completely the direct threat, that was the hunting. So no more fishers are hunting the whale shark, but there is the second most prevalent threat which is being which is being there, and that is a entanglement with net. The fishers are putting the net over the night, and while pulling out the net in the morning, they see that the whale shark gets entangled, because it's the Saurashtra region of Gujarat is highly there are high occurrences of whale shark. The whale shark appearance is there. So the fishers are usually getting the whale shark entangled in their fishing net. So now they have to rescue the animal. So we started a rescue program right from the beginning of the project, and so far the project has saved 781 individual whale sharks in past 1.5 decade. You will see two different colors of the chart bar, which differentiate the methodology, the protocol of the rescue method. So prior to 2012, the blue bars told about the direct what was happening when the fishers comes to know that there is a whale shark got entangled in their fishing net. So they will call to the rescue team on the shore, which comprises of the fishers frontline, the forest department frontline staff, the biologist, our WTIT, and the fisher community members. So the rescue team will run to the spot inside the sea, and they'll document entire rescue process, and they'll claim for the net loss compensation, which is given by the forest department. So that was the method prior to 2012. From 2012, we revealed that from the past experiences, we revealed that in that methodology, it was a time-consuming process. So fishers were like, it was an unknown number of hours when the whale shark got entangled. Then they'll call to their community head. Community head will contact to the rescue team, and by the time the rescue team gets ready and reaches to the spot, it takes a huge time, unknown number of times. So what we did, we gave a waterproof camera, which is a manually operated camera, to the all fishers on Saurashtra coast, basically in the fishers around the project site. And what they want to do, they will, whenever they get entangled the fish, whale shark in the fishing net, they have to document entire rescue process through their camera, a photographic camera, and they will release the whale shark without waiting for anyone. And while they come back to the shore, they'll submit that proof as a document proof to the forest department to claim the compensation, net loss compensation. The forest department will get follow and they'll sanction the net loss compensation to the owner of that boat where the whale shark was rescued. So the compensation was officially paid by the Gujarat Forest Department right from 2006. So far, approximately 1 crore rupees has been paid by the Forest Department as a net relief, for the fishers for their net loss. The Tata Chemical Limited, I'll talk about 2 or 3 laureates which the project partners have got. So in 2005, the BNHS Green Governance Award was received by Tata Chemicals Limited for their good cause of investment. And the Forest Department also, the Gujarat Forest Division, Junagadh Forest Division of Gujarat Forest State Forest Department, they got a India Biodiversity Award by UNDP in 2014. So it was given under the co-management category. So the community, the NGOs, and the Forest Department all together came forward to save this massive animal. So UNDP awarded that. So what we are doing with the community to raise awareness and to increase their level of involvement to this assignment. So right from 2008 onwards, we are celebrating the annual Whale Shark Day celebration. So there are 2 mega celebrations happens every year under the project in Gujarat. One is the Gujarat Whale Shark Day, which is a state specific day celebration, which is celebrated every year on Kartak Vad Amavas, which is a day as per the Gujarati year calendar. So from 2007, February 2007 onwards, the Forest Department officially announced to celebrate this day in honor of this animal, whale shark. So for the future concerned communities, which are the coastal school children, so during the course of time, we came to know that most of the coastal children gets drop out in the early education, even before the intermediate. So we also take them along for the future for the future concern. So we conduct such kind of like painting competitions, elocutions, and several activities to make them aware, to make them sensitized about this conservation action. And as I said, that there are 2 mega events we celebrate every year. One is Gujarat Whale Shark Day, which is a regional day celebration, and there is an International Whale Shark Day, which is being celebrated every year on 30th of August. So we initiated celebrating this International Whale Shark Day first in 2014, and we are celebrating after that every year. So this is about the youth of the community. They are the friends of whale shark. So we are focusing. We are taking the participation, engagement of the fishers who are actively inside the water. The coastal children who are still yet to come to the course, and some of the youth fishers, they will be the the next generation to take this conservation action forward. So we are forming the community youth groups. We call it as a Friends of Whale Shark, and they are the part of this conservation drive, this awareness drive in several occasions. So whenever we celebrate the annual day celebrations or we conduct the field activities, they are actively involved in this process. This is a satellite tagging slide which Charan will take as a part of the research component of the project. But I'll tell you that again, the research also is community assisted research. The fisher community are also involved here because we can take the animal, we can deploy the satellite tag to the animal which is rescued in the water because Gujarat water is started. So Charan can talk about more about this. This is a breeding. In the beginning of my presentation, I said that the whale sharks, the Morari Bapu said that whale sharks comes to the Gujarat coast to breed to breed, okay, to give a pup, to give birth to pup. But that was the appeal made by spiritual leader, and that has come to true in 2000 after a course of 10 years when we got a first record of the baby whale shark from this project area from Sutrapada, which is near to our field station. So one of the fishers came to us and said that, look at, we have rescued the baby whale shark. So that confirms the faith of the fishers to the spiritual leader has got stronger and stronger. And this is probably the reason why the fishers are more committed. They have more committed to conserve this animal. So spiritually bonding is highly active there. So apart from the national and regional awareness platform, we are also taking this conservation message to the global platform. We are there is an international conference every over the globe. It happens every third year. So 2005, 2009, 2013, and 2016. Even during the 2019, the fifth conference, we were remain present and we presented the conservation work we have got succeeded on Gujarat coast. So even like during 2019, we conducted the first regional whale shark conference because India is one of the range state of for the whale shark, but there are other neighboring countries. The other Asian countries are also home for the whale shark occurrences are there. So there are still the threats are prevailing. We are able to conserve the animal on Gujarat, but there is a still need to take all the Asian states. Like so, we conducted the regional whale shark conference in India during 2019, and this is like the most recent event, the Gujarat Whale Shark Day, we conducted in Verawar. So it's a like these are the platform we are creating for the fishers to take them as a pride. See, earlier what was happening when the fishers of Gujarat were hunting this massive animal, there were a black dot on their forehead. So for hunting this animal for the little commercial cost, but now they are through these kind of platforms, they are coming forward. Like I'll tell you here. On your left side there is a community leader, is a community head, and he's addressing to his community as well as the researcher and other professionals that we are now a part of this conservation success. Okay, they are the active heroes of this conservation. The recent event, CMS COP 30, the Convention on Migratory Species. This whale shark was also whale shark is a highly migratory animal. It travels all along the long coastal belt, coastal regions. So we presented the success story of or the conservation action or whatever the research we have been doing during this event in 2004. This is the most recent event. These are some of the collaterals we are using as a tool of awareness, especially to the youth, to the school children and all. and is about the way forward. We are upgrading the rescue process through Android app. We have already launched this Android app and we are working on that. So the fishers are now digitally empowered to process their the rescue documentation, and there is still more emphasized need of whale shark research and biological study, and the annual day celebration of whale shark needs to be continue to keep active the fishers and as well as the future guardians. They are the coastal children, to make them concerned about the whale shark conservation and replicate this co-management model. As BCCO said that we are also extending the successful model to the coast of Andhra Pradesh, and our the bird watcher society members will be benefited for that. Like they at least come to know that this is what we have got succeeded on the Gujarat coast. And that's all from me. Thank you so much. So now I'll request Charan to take forward the research and biological activity we have been conducting. Charan.
Thank you, Farid. Thank you for that great information. Now you can stop sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Charan.
So I hope everyone can hear, because most of the people are messaging that audio is not clear. So if you cannot hear or if you cannot see a slide or video properly, you can ask in the end. We are happy to answer any questions, or we are happy to show the slide again. So now here I'm talking about scientific part which we are doing in this conservation project uh, through WTI, and in the science part we are majorly concentrating on whale shark habitat studies and then whale shark migratory studies using satellite tagging techniques. So habitat for the habitat studies, we are majorly collecting this temperature, depth in that aggregation spot where that Gujarat coast. We are collecting monthly temperature and pH, salinity, and then depth range. So as we don't have lab facility, but we are collecting this data and we are collecting the water samples for the phytoplankton biomass analysis. So we are collecting the samples regularly and we are sending it to ICERK, and they are going to analyze the samples and they'll give the data. So, and we are collecting, whenever we go for the rescue, whenever we go for this satellite tagging, we collect the small tissue sample for the genetic analysis as well. So those samples will be sending to different institutes who are willing to analyze those samples, and they'll analyze the samples and they'll give the data. And for the migration studies, we have got satellite tags. Currently, we are using Spot 5 satellite tag. I'm going to show the video which explains the different types of tags which we usually use in marine related studies. But in this, the first one, the first Spot tag which we are using regularly for all these satellite tags. Till now, we have tagged around 8 whale sharks, and I'll show you in the further slides. I'll show you that migratory patterns from where we have tagged and where it traveled. So this video, sorry. So this is the tag which we call Spot tag. It will be on the surface. It should be on the surface. When it comes to the surface only, we get the signal. If it is in underwater, we are not going to get the signal. So mostly we use this tag, and this tag has a duration period of 200 days. the battery duration period. So to give more data and more time, we keep it as an alternate. Every alternative day, we can get the signal. In such a way, we are going to. There is a software for that, so we're going to make it every alternative day. It should give the signal, but at the same time, the satellite has to come in the same orbit. Then only it gives the signal. So this is the tag which we use regularly, and we are going to tag this at the base of the dorsal fin. See the dorsal fin on the top. So at the base, we'll fix it. And the second, sorry.
One time, whale shark surface. This uses the battery. Another type will detach with a single.
So the another tag which you saw, this is called PAT tag. This records the data even if it is underwater, but it won't give the signal until unless it pops off from the body and it comes to the surface. When it comes to the surface, after a certain period of time, there is a link. It will pop off and it comes to the surface. And once it comes to the surface, you can retrieve it. It will give the signal, and then you can retrieve it so that you can go to that area and you can retrieve the tag, and you can collect the data, whatever is recorded. This tag also collect the depth data as well. The spot tag won't collect the depth data. So it gives how deep the whale shark can go, and how much period it stays underwater. It mostly has to come to the surface for the feeding purpose.
Another type will detach after 6 to 12 months on the shark, float to the surface, and then transmit data.
Yeah, this is how we tag. The once the fisherman comes to know that whale shark gets entangled in the net, and they will call us. We'll be on the nearby area, so they will call us. They inform us the whale shark. So if there is a time period, if you are nearby and if at the same time they are also near to the shore, not very far, we are going to attend the rescue and we are going to do the tagging. And if we are far from the location and we are unable to reach in time, so we are going to tell them immediately that release the whale shark, so that there should not be any mortality. So this is how we do the whale shark rescue and the tagging. See, you can in the left side corner, you can see the blue color tag. We already tagged it. And these are the whale sharks which we tagged since 2011. The first whale shark which we had tagged, and then recent one is 2017. And these are the how many kilometers it traveled, how many days it gave the data. This is seventh tag. Can you see the seventh tag? It gave around 306 days data, and then eighth one it gave for 135 days. So now in this you can find all the 8 tags, and then the travel track, how long they traveled, and see the red color dots. This is the longest traveling data which we recorded from India. It traveled along near to the African shore, and then it turned back to the Maldives. It returned back to Maldives, and then in the near Sumatra Islands, it got detached from the body of whale shark, and it was floating for a certain period of time, and then the battery drained out. And the blue one, the sky blue dots were they traveled near Oman waters. that's it. So if you have any questions, you can ask. If you want to review any slide, you can ask. We're happy to answer.
Great. Thank you, Charan.
Thank you,
Let's
ma'am.
take the questions. Let's take the questions now. You got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And the first question, which I had read out before earlier, please decide between yourself who is going to answer as per the question. Okay, Charan, Farooq?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Sachin. I'm Sachin from New Delhi. Before the session starts, I was hoping that the panel could talk about marine biology as a career option. I have just finished my class 12 and I'm really interested in diving and marine biology research and conservation.
So
Charan.
I am going to answer this question now. I have
Yeah.
replied him already in the message itself, but if he is available in the chat, I mean this session, I can answer him. So if he really want to be a marine biologist, then he can first of all he should come from the Delhi. As I met some people once. Me and Sergeant sir, we gave a session in Delhi, Amity University, regarding tagging technology and satellite tags, which type of tags we use and all. So at that time, I met a person who went all the way from Kerala to Delhi to study marine ecology, something, some course over there in Delhi. There is no sea at all. So if this guy really wants to study, he has to come all the way from Delhi to coastline and study marine. In Kerala, there's a PSAT university, Kerala University. They're giving the marine biology, and in Andaman, Pondicherry University is giving marine biology courses, and in Andhra Pradesh as well, Andhra University giving marine biology course. And if he really wants to do the diving part, he has to go to either Pondicherry or Andaman or Lakshadweep. These three places are best for diving.
You can go to Murudeshwar as well. You don't have to go all the way to the Andamans or Pondicherry. You can go to Murudeshwar. But if you go to Pondicherry during the right season, they have spotted whale sharks over there. So you can go over there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're looking for more of a budget place, then this thing, what do you say? Murudeshwar is a very good place.
Murudeshwar.
Yeah, Murudeshwar. Near Karwar. They have a marine biology course in Karwar as well. But it's mostly related to fisheries.
Fisheries courses are there. So many colleges are offering fisheries, but if marine biology is completely correlated. So yeah.
So does the CBD check markets on shark sale?
In the market.
This is from Devika Rani.
They do. Yeah, I have replied as well.
Oh, okay.
Replied her as well in the chat. Yeah.
So Devika Rani, you got the answer?
Hello. I didn't get that answer. Can you just repeat it?
Yeah.
Charan, can you repeat the answer?
In the markets, they do check because possession of these whale shark products, either fins or a meat or anything related to whale shark, is punishable offense. So
because once when I was in Tirunelveli, excuse me, once when I was in Tirunelveli, I saw something like a hammerhead shark being sold by a local fisherman.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I didn't know, but I didn't want to whom to report or anything, but I photographed and I just put it across.
Okay. So there are.
Can I answer that?
Several species of sharks. Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, I think, see, what we need to realize, the enforcement agency as far as coastal and marine and animals are concerned, it is not the fisheries department, it is the forest and wildlife department. and the species are protected under the Indian Wildlife Protection Act, and they are in the schedule of the Indian Wildlife Protection Act. So the agency with whom the enforcement and legislation is entrusted with is the Forest Department, and therefore the Forest Department actually monitors, controls, and records the market. That is at the enforcement level. The other agency which actually monitors what is the kind of trade happening is Traffic India and the Traffic International. The CBD doesn't actually monitor. It is CITES which monitors, international trade. It is the internal trade which is monitored by the enforcement agency, and the Traffic India monitors, what is happening as far as trade is concerned in India.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. The next question is, this is from Krishnakant Bakshi. Which type of phytoplankton are mostly food source of shark?
I have replied him as well. So there is no specific phytoplankton. It's as it is a filter feeder. It travels along the way under the surface, and it will keep on sucking the water. Whatever it comes to the mouth, and it will filter. And there is no specific phytoplankton which is interested. That's it. And when it comes to the west coast of India, you will find more Ecitus species, Ecitus indicus. That is a small krill species which is available in Maharashtrian coast and Gujarat coast. And so when it is a season, monsoon season, in winter monsoon season, these Ecitus species will come to this Gujarat coast for larger quantities. So to feed on those species, the whale sharks will aggregate, and the rest of the plankton is common.
Okay. Next question from Farida Tampal. Do you think that if Murari Babu had not made the appeal in the whale shark conservation, would not have been as successful, or your persistent efforts actually paid off? Is this Murari Babu's intervention or your efforts, is what Farida is asking?
Yeah, I'll respond to this question.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
Farooq.
Yeah, so it is true that I said it's a multi-component here. Like it's not only the compensation paid by the forest department, all the awareness part we are doing through celebrating these days, the wildlife days and all. But every things have their own respective contribution to make this happen. Of course, the Murari Bapu's spiritual appeal to the fishers have impacted, but that is also to a certain extent. It is not only because of that, or else it is not only because of the compensation, the community pride taking platforms and sort of thing. It is altogether has made it possible. So it is also there. Like,
Wonderful. Next question, Farooq. This is from JVD Murthy. Mexico has a very organized whale shark tourism in place. Is there any such thing planned in India?
yeah. Actually, when the WTI and the partners initiated this project in 2004, the initial project foundation, I think BC sir can add more into this. So at that point of time, the exit strategy plan or the success to measure the success of this project to make the sustainable model of this project, we thought of tourism. But practically during the course of time of working on in Gujarat, it is not possible because of the turbid water. The direct tourism is not at all possible in Gujarat. We can create some indirect ways of tourism, like creating some art and craft about the whale sharks. We can create some the artificial animation, like auditorium, video auditorium, and sort of thing. But because for tagging the whale shark, for deploying the satellite tag on whale sharks, we have to depend on the community. So community reports the rescue spot, we reach to the spot, and only then we are able to take the whale shark. So here I would also request BC sir to add more if he is there. BC sir.
I'd like to add to this. So the thing is with Mexico, also Indonesia, also Australia, Thailand, South Africa,
Maldives.
West Africa, there are places where you have tourism that basically talks about marine life. With Indian coast, the problem is that we do not have the infrastructure to go that deep into the ocean to make sure that people can go and see the whale shark, because most of the whale shark sites are way far from the coast. So say if I'm doing a dive operation in the morning and I have to go see the whale shark, I have to go in the morning, and by the time I reach the dive site, it's going to take at least half a day. So for that to happen, it's a very big infrastructure that needs to come into place. Although in the Andamans, we are trying to make sure that people are more aware that whale shark sightings are there. So we are trying to make sure more certified people come over here and see the whale shark, and also see if check the pattern as to when they're coming and how they're coming and what areas they're coming at. But currently there is a lot going on commercially as well when it comes to making sure that everyone can see the whale shark, because not a lot of certified divers in India travel to see the whale shark. B, it is too far to go to see a whale shark, and C, as Farooq has added, the waters are way too turbulent for people to go and see the whale shark. Meaning, it's like either it is like there is strong currents, or you don't know how the dive site is and where the whale shark is coming. So that also is a concern. But we are trying right now to make sure that marine tourism as as an aspect of commercial diving starts, but that's just in talks right now.
Yeah, I can add
Okay.
on something a bit more.
Yes, BC sir.
I think
Please
it's
go
like
ahead.
tiger. It's like tiger tourism. You have 50 odd tiger reserves, but how many reserves you can go and still see a tiger? I think the chances are you might actually spend 1 week in a tiger reserve, and you will come back without seeing a tiger. And you can spend just half a day in a tiger reserve. You can come back seeing 5 tigers. So I think it's a question of chance. Wildlife sighting is not necessarily something which you want, this is my intention, I list, and then I can go and see. And I think, in the case of Indian coastline, which already, I think, already has been answered. The diver has already answered, why it is difficult. There are certain areas where the possibilities are there. We are exploring the possibility of marine megafauna-based tourism, possibility exploration. We will probably take it into the Lakshadweep group of islands, where I think such possibilities are probably somewhat brighter than any other locations. Andaman Nicobar is another place where it is possible. In the west coast of India, the water is too turbid and too turbulent, and as rightly has been pointed out, the possibility of seeing a whale shark, which is probably located some 20 kilometers away, and it's not remaining at that site. By the time you reach there, it probably has gone and somewhere else. So I think you cannot possibly go there only to see a whale shark. You can actually club it with seeing marine turtles, whales, whale shark, any other kind of things, dolphins, and so on. If you itinerary, you can say sighting of marine fauna. And if you see by chance a marine a whale shark, that is your good luck. And I think specifically whale shark watching is not probably a possibility at this point of time, but there a possibility may exist in the Lakshadweep group of islands, where we are exploring that possibility in the years to come by.
Wonderful, BC sir. All the best to you for that project. So this is from Sadhvi Sindhura. Did you face any conservation challenges with respect to the state's unique cultural and economic dynamics? Gujarat, she means. Who will take this question? Charan, Farooq. Did you face any conservation challenges and with respect to the state's cultural and economic dynamics?
Yeah. See, if you take the Gujarat community, which is more profound of the spiritual affections. So when it was a time when the fishers were commercially exploiting this massive animal, you'll go to them and make them explain that we want to conserve this animal. So it was very difficult to counter them. Like they'll say that you are doing your profession, let us to do our profession. It's our job. Okay, you will not feed our family, our children. So it was very difficult to counter them. That how to make them convinced that okay, they'll protect the animal and stop the hunting. So that was very difficult because there was a economical benefit was associated with the cause. So as I regret to the previous question, yes, the Murari Bapu's appeal was to certain extent was helpful to resolve that. So after that also we are providing a monetary relief to the fishers. So this is how like the challenges are
Yeah, I can
add
on a little bit. I think, first thing we must realize, I think, the Wildlife Protection Act and putting the species in the Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act, which actually entails if you harm an animal, you are actually to be punished. That was a deterrent. But at the same time, I think, when they were actually economically benefited by hunting whale sharks, and and now that economic benefit is not coming. But what is coming is, if they cut a net and release the whale shark, then they get a compensation. It's a relief that is given. To this day, I think the state has almost given about rupees as compensation to the nets that have been given. But the third thing also we must realize, the economic dimension has been answered to some extent, but it is the spiritual and the general belief in Gujarat that you should not be killing animals. They are also projecting whale shark as the pride. Ultimately, it is also related to possible tourism avenue. I think, if you come to the Gujarat coast, you not just see the Gir lion, you don't just see the wilders in the Rann of Kutch, you see also the possibility of seeing the whale shark. So I think, ultimately there is a slight angle of economic benefit associated with it. And that combination of spiritual, economic loss compensation and possibility of economic benefit, that actually answers why it has not been so much of a challenge. But much more than that, state bureaucracy and the state administration is extremely proud that they are not proud of only the Gir lion, they are also proud of the whale shark in the state. That is the only place where the aggregation has been so well documented. So they are actually projecting, we are the only state which are protecting the whale shark. I think there is a certain amount of pride that is involved in projecting whale shark as our shark. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, BC sir. Krishnakant Bakshi, another question. Which methods are being used for marine mammal census, as in shark census?
I think BC sir can answer this.
BC sir.
Okay. Unlike your terrestrial animal census, there is not a perfect methodological approach on censusing megafauna. Marine megafauna, because they are so big and they actually come to a particular aggregation area during certain times of the year. I think one possibility is, how many animals you are getting caught in your fishing nets. And to this day, we have 781 rescued. And if you keep a tag upon how many has been rescued in each month, you know which month the predominantly larger number of them are there. Okay, you can give an indication of the trend of the population in a given area, not exactly how many. It is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That kind of count is not possible. Nobody in the world. I think, at this point of time, if someone asks how many whale sharks there in the world, I don't think any whale shark worker in the world can actually answer that question. It is only a rough guesstimate. Probably there are about somewhere around 18 to 20,000 whale sharks throughout the world. But given the population in the world distribution range, It is only the aggregation areas where you can give some indication. This aggregation area, we may have this much of population. Our own estimation of the population in the Gujarat coast would range probably between 1,500 to 2,000 animals aggregating during every year's congregation period. That is our estimation, but it is not based on any systematic methodological approach which has not been developed. There is a bit of a methodological approach which can possibly be used, which is by aerial survey. And aerial survey methodologies have been perfected for other marine mammals, marine animals, and that methodology can possibly be used, which is something which is probably used in other parts of the whale shark distribution reach. Thank you.
So, to add on to this particular thing, there are two organizations in India that do something called as reef conservation. So we don't generally pick out just sharks and say that, okay, we are just going to look at that. We have underwater slates that are given to dive organizations, dive shops, and various places that run a dive center. So what it is basically it's a slate and it has different fishes on it, and there's a particular section for sharks. And what we do is generally we take a note down on each time we go diving, saying that, okay, these are the species we see, and we give the data to this particular organization. Please look it up. It's called as the Reef Watch Conservation. It is throughout the world, and the office in India for that is in Bangalore. There is an app online that you can download called the Ocean Reach. I will share it with Gautam later. So basically what the app does is that they track sharks and whale sharks. They track whale sharks in different places of the world. So what you can do is you can see which shark you want and you can track it, and it tells you when the shark was tracked. It shows you the data of where all the shark has gone, and also it shows the data of how old the shark is, whether it's a female, and what the height is, and everything. Unfortunately, this app does not work in India and the southeastern part of Asia. But if you go mostly towards, say, the South African part, if you go towards the Atlantic, if you go towards the Pacific, you see the widespread of this app over there. But currently, if you need any information, just follow ReefWatch organization in India, and also this app. It will give you everything you need to know about what shark conservation is and how the tracking system works.
Okay,
There is also
question
other
from
methods, for example, let me supplement this information a little bit more. I think, just like your tigers, on the facial markings or stripes and so on, the whale shark on a broadside picture, the white dots on the body, on the blue surface of the body, white dots. If you can a broadside picture, and you can actually, every whale shark probably has different blotch patterns. So that's an individual identification mark. So if you have spotted a whale shark at a particular location, and if you can take a picture of a whale shark somewhere else and you compare them, you probably find the same whale shark is, you have seen it in Gujarat, and the next time you have photographed in the Maharashtra coast, next time you have in the Karnataka coast, and next time you have photographed it somewhere in the Tamil Nadu coast, and so on. And that's an eco-scene, that's a program which the whale shark researchers have developed. And unfortunately, as far as the Indian coast is concerned, our pictures of the broadside taken are not so good enough to be contributed to the ecosystem library to say, this is the same whale shark. So I think there is a bit of a challenge about, not only identifying individual whale shark and also counting their numbers. I think there are apps, there are other methods which have just been explained. But population estimation is only a population trend at this point of time. We do not subscribe to the, or we do not even try to make an attempt to give a figure. What is the total number of whale sharks in the country? We will not make any estimation of that kind. Which will be way far wrong estimation at this point of time. So we don't venture into that arena at all. Thank you.
The question from Kavya Nair: what were the major challenges or hurdles faced while working with the local communities? This is for Farooq.
Ma'am, there is Ma'am, there is another question before that, I guess. Jayden Murthy garu.
Okay, I skipped that because BC sir has already answered, no?
Okay.
Stripes of on a tiger and the, or you want me to take that? I'll
Okay,
take
the
it.
thoughts on this whale sharks.
Because BC sir just told that they are distinctive. You
Yeah.
can recognize it if you see. So that's why I skipped. Okay.
Yeah,
So
okay.
what are the major
Right.
challenges or hurdles faced while working with the local communities?
Yeah. So as I answered previously also, convincing the community to to let it go the opportunistic benefit. Like when the fisher were hunting the animal, they were getting around 2 to 3 lakhs rupees per individual animal. So while go to them and convince them that we want to conserve this massive animal, it was a really difficult challenge that we want to resolve. So that is one. Another is a community dynamics, because all the communities, if you take all the community projects, they don't simply follow or simply adapt the approach that we want to take them to adopt. So community dynamics is another thing it was a challenge to work with that. Other thing is like the fishers, while rescuing the whale shark, they used to they prefer, because while relieving the whale shark from the net, they first concern about the catch. Okay, so because they were putting hundreds of nets into the sea, and the whale shark is got entangled in one of the nets. So first of all, they'll try to uh, uh, get the other nets, which is where there is a catch, where there is a catch, normal catch. So uh, like they won't let go the like they don't first release the whale shark which is got into the net. So these were the challenges we faced to convince them, because ultimately it involves the commercial benefit.
Okay, so this is from JBD Murthy again. Oil and gas drilling and also international shipping lanes are a threat to all marine animals. What measures is the international body taking in this regard? And is it true that the females have a more pelagic diet than the male whale sharks?
Okay. Noise pollution in the marine environment has been on the forefront of marine science studies of late. And based on the migration patterns and migration records of critically endangered marine megafauna and others, maps are being drawn exactly what is the migration routes of marine megafauna, and if they are overlapping with the navigation routes of oil, gas installation, and other shipping lines and so on. It is one way of not overlapping the migration route of megafauna and overlapping them with the shipping line movement patterns. It is actually a global study which has just been initiated. The result will probably come after some time. But a lot of experimentation that is going on in terms of naval armory being tested. This multi-nation expedition and others on naval armory being tested underwater and their problems. I think it has been very well studied that the noise that is produced by arms and other such noises that produce, if it is greater than 150, 160 decibel, they have a greater impact on many of these marine megafauna. Particularly dolphins are very susceptible. The Australian coast has done enough studies on how noise underwater, particularly propeller noise and the shipping noise, has impacted dolphin population and so on. So I think, a greater deal of understanding of the noise pollution and the impact of theirs on the marine megafauna health is something in which is being talked about. But a far greater risk at this point of time happens to be ghost fishing. I think, nets which are being just cut and thrown in the sea, and there are nobody doing any fishing, but the nets actually entangle a lot of animals. And ghost fishing is becoming a major problem, in addition to the problems associated with the noise pollution in the sea. Yes, I think there has been the marine biologist and marine science researcher are actually making it an issue, and in global forums this has been discussed, and most marine science laboratories are actually trying to address this issue into the United Nations Forum and so on, in the CBD Forum as well, and Convention on Migratory Species Forum as well. So I think all international forum, this has been addressed, and hopefully the next couple of years or so, some kind of a line will come to every maritime state nation they need to do in this context. Thank you.
Okay, Krishnakant Bakshi, he is requesting organizing committee to arrange webinar for understanding the satellite tagging of animals, not only shark, but in general, all animals. Mr. Bakshi, we would love to do that. Satellite tagging is amazing. It sounds complicated, it must be complicated, but how they are actually doing it and successfully safeguarding the animals would be a wonderful thing, wonderful knowledge for all of us to gain. So I'm sure we look into that. And WTI also, and BC sir, and the two fantastic boys, Charan and Farooq, I'm sure they'll be happy to do a webinar only on satellite tagging of animals. Shark. Okay,
yeah,
now
I think,
next
it's not just tagging. It's not just satellite tagging. Tagging of all different kinds of tagging are there. Marker tags are there. It's a very simple, small, just about 10 inches of strip, which is actually placed on the animal. And if it is caught somewhere, the fisherman can actually see that red tag in which the address is written. They will say, your animal tagged in Gujarat. We have actually seen it in Andaman Nicobar. Okay, so these are marker tags. There are satellite tags. There are monal metal tags. Depending on what species you are tagging, there are different kinds of tags. If you go to Wildlife Incorporates and Wildlife Computers and so on, there are many companies which are producing tags. And if you Google satellite tags or any kind of marine animal tagging system, you will find all the companies and whatever the kinds of tags in which is produced. And fish studies, all the marine fish, they are tagged. Tuna, for example, has been tagged to see how far tuna migrate, where are the congregation happening, whether the tagged fish actually goes into the congregation from one congregation to other congregation. So this actually enables them to predict this animal is going to go from this particular congregation to another congregation, and therefore this is where you can get the catch. So I think we have tagged something like 80 olive ridley turtles in the Orissa coast for tagging migration studies, and recorded their migration right up to Sri Lankan, South Sri Lankan coast. We tagged marine turtles in Sri Lankan coast. We recorded them going into the Arabian Sea and so on. So I think we tagged leatherback turtles in the Andaman Nicobar and recorded them going up to Indonesia. So I think, tagging studies actually tells you, depending on the size class of a particular marine megafauna, how far they migrate and what is the length of what is the total area they cover. I think, Charan presented the migration pattern of the whale shark, which has actually traveled almost up to 6,000 kilometers in 305 days. That's a lot of distance covered by one animal. I think, larger the size of the animal, greater the area they cover in the marine environment. And it is also important for us to realize marine environment is the common property resource, CPR regime, common property resource regime. Unlike a terrestrial environment where you put a boundary, where you say, this is your protected area boundary. In the marine environment, you cannot put a boundary for a protected area, and therefore they are immigration and emigration from one area to other area. And therefore you need to understand a great deal more about migration, immigration, and so on. And therefore the tagging studies are extremely important for marine fauna study. Thank you.
Thank you. What is the, this is from JVD Murthy, what is the reproductive periodicity of whale sharks and the size of the litter?
So
I think
reproductive periodicity, yeah.
Sharon can answer that.
Yeah. So reproductive periodicity,
Okay,
usually the whale sharks mature at age of 25. So as of now, we don't have any proof when they actually mate, at what season, where they actually mate, and where they actually reproduce. Proper breeding grounds we haven't found. In Gujarat, we have found this, we have considered as a breeding ground because we have found pup proofs. So periodicities, reproductive periodicities is completely unknown. The maturity period is 25. At age of 25, the maturity happens, but
So, Charan,
periodicities is as of now unknown. Yeah.
So how did we find out that at 25 it matures actually?
So in the certain like Ningaloo, Australia, Ningaloo Reef, they have found female whale shark which they are pregnant female whale shark they found. So they have a regional population over there. So most of the whale sharks, certain number of whale sharks, they are always in that area only. They travel a little bit of distance and they'll come back again to the same spot. So they track each and every movement of the whale sharks. So they will know what age, and they have calculations. Depends on the size of the whale shark. They have certain calculations of the age as well.
Right.
It's more than the age. It is actually more than the age. It is the size at which the animal becomes sexually mature. That has been more accepted at this point of time. In fact, anything which is, more than about a certain size class, we have categorized them into different size class category, which is a neonate, which is a pre-juvenile, which is a juvenile, which is a subadult, which is an adult. We have classified them into different categories. Currently, we are actually working on a paper on that. And I think, once that paper comes out, it will be debated by a whole lot of researchers. And probably there is an agreement which will come. It is an age and size override, which can give you the figure about at what age, what size, and what age class they are breeding. I think that information, as you continue your work, more and more refinement comes, and that refinement comes in the future as we continue to our studies. Thank you.
Farida Tampal has a question. Is the tag harpooned into the whale shark? What is the cost of these tags and what is the battery time? Not harpooned.
Charan.
No, it is initially, usually it is harpooned in the body, but in the Gujarat coastal waters, we use this rescue technique. I mean, after the whale shark entanglement, we get the call. Usually in Australia, they do this harpooning only. The tag which is inserted in the tip of harpoon, and they go in diving, and they do this harpooning. But in Gujarat waters, it is impossible because this, as we have already discussed about the turbidity, turbulence. So it is impossible. So we use this drilling method. It's like a ear pinning. You put a hole in the ear. Just it won't hurt the animal. That is for sure. Yes, but it will be like we have to drill a hole, and then we need to put the tag and bolt it. So it is Indian waters. It is not harpooned. It is drilled. There we have to make a hole in the dorsal fin, base of the dorsal fin, and then we need to fix that tag, because it has to there is a between the tag and the dorsal fin will be 1 meter length, 1 meter distance. There will be a wire in between, so it has to be come to the surface. Even if the whale shark is a little bit of under the surface, the tag has to float. So then only we get the location, geolocation from the tag. So if we harpoon this, and the cost is around one tag costs around 1.5 lakh to 2 lakhs. That is the spot tag which we use. And then if it is pad tag, the second one which I showed you in the video, that costs around 5 lakhs each piece 5 lakhs.
Oh, okay. So JVD Murthy says, is there any law on restricting the size of the fishing nets that are used by fishermen, especially during the migratory season?
That is that there is no
No.
specific law, because we can only, until unless it's a marine protected MNP, marine protected area. Rest of the area they can fish, because you cannot consider as this is a specific zone. You cannot fish in this area, and its whale sharks are highly migratory species, so you cannot border certain area. Okay, this species is going to travel through this area, so you cannot do any fishing in this area. That is quite difficult.
Yeah. So Charan and Farooq, you have lot of compliments. Our member Yella Prakash and Krishnakant Bakshi, Devika Rani have a lot of compliments to you. I'm passing them on. And going on to the question, again, doesn't the Indian Wildlife Act need to be upgraded vis-a-vis the marine life found within the Indian waters? JVD Murthy.
DC sir can answer this.
It needs to be updated in a very big scale, actually, because by law, if you see, there is literally no protection that is offered to the marine species that are hunted in India. Like, for example, if you go outside India, it's very illegal to even go hunt a shark. Even though it happens, people go hunting sharks, it's illegal. But in India, as long as you don't hunt a shark for the spinning purpose and you're consuming the whole animal, it is very legal for people to go hunt it and bring it. In fact, in Hyderabad itself, there are at least 10 to 12 restaurants that serve shark meat as like shark steaks and stuff. Yes, they do that. And the problem with this entire thing is because there is no such act that tells that, this species is not supposed to be eaten. It is hunted in like big quantities, like reef sharks, black-tip reef sharks, common bamboo sharks and stuff. They are hunted. Like you just have to go to the fish market and you'll see them.
If I may add to Sureka ji, can I talk?
Please, Praveen, go ahead.
Amrita, I have addition. See, actually, 9 shark species are protected as per Indian Wildlife Protection Act, out of 140 species that are present. So the problem is in identifying the sharks after once they are cut. So that's the major deterrent. And coming to other species, there are a lot of other species you might be aware. They are also covered under Indian Wildlife Protection Act.
Okay. How many satellite tags actually tagged and how many succeeded?
We have tagged Subbu's question. We have tagged the 8 so far, and success. How do we say how many are success? Actually, all 8 out of 8 are success. So we cannot determine the periodicity of a tag. Actually, how long a tag works is dependent on multiple factors. So battery life and how long a tag stays on a whale shark. There are multiple factors that affect the longevity of a tag. So we can say all the 8 tags are successful, and we can also say all the 8 tags are unsuccessful. You can argue both
Let
ways.
us go with successful,
I
Praveen.
can
And
I can add to
and
that. Yeah.
Charan is going
and
to add to that.
yeah, Charan,
Yeah.
Charan.
Yeah, Praveen. Charan.
So you can say the tagging is successful. The tracking, that after tagging a whale shark, once we rescue the whale shark and tag the whale shark, if we once we release, the whale shark can get into another net, entangled into another net. The tag get entangled in the net and it can pop off. Because once it whale shark enters into the water, I mean into the net, it will keep on rotate to try to escape. So in that process, the tag also get entangled in the net and it can pop off. But as of now, we don't have any proofs that okay, tag got entangled in the net and it popped off. But recent whale shark tagging, the 6th and 7th and 8th, it gave larger data. I mean around as well. As I showed the slide also, 306 days, continuously 306 days, it gave the data for 6,000 kilometers. Yeah.
Amazing.
So,
yeah. So Krishnakant
almost,
Bakshi, sorry, Charan.
Yeah, that's it, ma'am.
Okay. So Krishnakant Bakshi, he would like your email addresses and other communication option with you experts. So could you please give it to him on the chat here, please?
Yes, ma'am, sure.
And more compliments
I'll
from
share
our member Sam Sukumar and CSS Bharati. How are the data collected by tagging are used in conservation? I think this has been answered. Can you take a look at that question, Charan? How are the data collected by tagging and used in the conservation of whale shark? Oh no, it's not been answered.
So,
how do you?
It's not been answered. So the data collection by tagging, once you know why they are coming and from where they are coming, then only you can do this actual. This is a supporting data to the conservation part. Because we need to first of all, if you wanted to do the conservation, first, you should understand about the animal, how they behave, what they eat, and how long they travel, where did they go, where they breed, where they feed. Then only you can do the conservation. And then only once you collect the data, then only you will come to know whether this species definitely need the conservation or not. So for that reason only, we are going to do this tagging, so that once you tag this whale shark, you will come to know how long they travel, so how many habitats they are crossing. Suppose Gujarat has a specific habitat like Jaula or different kind of fish species, so that they can prey on. So once it crosses to this another continent, then there will be complete different habitat. So until unless you study those habitats or study about the animal, you cannot do the conservation, right? So definitely this tagging helps a lot.
Yes, in data collection and then applying it for conservation, right? And I have a question. You said that the liver oil is exported, am I right? The fins and the meat is also exported of the whale shark?
No, Surekaji, liver oil is not exported
to some Asian countries.
The fins and the meat, are they exported?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Not now.
Oh, okay, not now anymore. That is good news. If it is not being exported. Yeah, okay. When it was being exported, which were the taker countries?
Philippines, North Asian countries like Taiwan, Philippines, China.
Taiwan, Philippines, China, Japan also. Fin shark soup and all that.
Yeah,
okay.
Soup,
but now it has stopped.
Yeah, now it is stopped.
Wonderful. That is such a heartwarming news.
They are using some other shark species.
Sorry?
Shark fin is legally prohibited. There is export is banned, but still there is quite a bit of illegal shark fin trade is still going on illegally.
Right. All this is illegal. So thank you so much. That's about it. Gautam, are there any questions more that you can see?
Yeah, there's one question that we missed from JVD uncle. It's a sub question actually. So is it true that the females have a more pelagic diet than the male whale sharks?
We don't know at this point in time.
Okay.
No, nothing like that. They feed on everything which is on the surface. Like they'll suck the water and they feed continuously. It has to move and then it has to feed something continuously. Even if the whale shark, once it gets entangled, if the whale shark mouth is entangled completely, it will suffocate. It cannot breathe until its mouth is, it cannot breathe. So it has to keep on feed, continuously do the filter feeding, then only it gets the oxygen. At the same time, food as well. There's no specific thing like male and female.
There are like videos of whale shark being entangled and still going on. Like they're entangled with the neck all around the neck, and like they're still going on. So as long as the mouth is open, it's okay. And is Sachin still here? The kid from Delhi that wanted the question about.
I think Sachin left.
No, he's not here.
Okay.
Yes, sorry.
I have a
If you have something to
question.
say, please do say, because even I am interested in career in marine biology. So,
okay.
Anything?
So, career in marine biology under research, I have no idea about, but there is a very substantial career. What you can do is that you can do the course of marine biology and then you can go become a diver. You can become the first level of professional diver, that is a dive master. And then you can start applying, like if you want to get some money and if you want to really add on to your career, then you can apply in marine resorts. You can apply in places like Maldives. You can apply in places like Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, any place that has a marine resort. You can go say that, okay, I'm a marine biologist and I'm also a diver. So you can go and apply over there. There are career options. And in research base also there are career options, but I don't know about that one. But there is a huge demand for marine biologists across the world. When it comes to tourism, when it comes to resorts, they want a marine biologist that can take their guests around the ocean and tell them what it is about, take them to tours, take them for diving and stuff. So you can become a professional once you're done with your marine biology course, or you can also work in India with reef watch conservation. They are a group of marine biologists that work with different countries that do marine biology and teach and stuff. So you can it's a healthy career to choose. But currently I don't have an idea about, but it's quite a healthy career to choose. It's a niche career.
Thank you so much.
So, Sharan, I have a question. How much does an adult weigh and what is the size of the liver?
Size of the liver.
How much does an adult weigh?
Adult, well, above 9 meters is adult.
Yes.
Weight.
Sorry.
Weight.
It's around 30 tons, 20 to 30.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, Gautam, any more questions?
Yeah, I think Rajshekhar.
Oh, Rajshekhar. Hi, Rajshekhar. Please directly ask the question, Rajshekhar.
Yes.
Today you could come on to chat. Great.
Yeah, it's nice chat, Charan and Farooq. This question is like in variable coast, like a lot of Telugu diaspora or diaspora from other states are they live their livelihood as a fisherman. Are you training them in aspects of conservation? about
They
whale
are
sharks.
not fishermen, they are actually fish processing. They are in the fish processing industry. They are not into fishing.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just helpers in the fish processing industry. At the same time, in the boat as well, they're just helpers. They are not a fisherman. They'll do this cooking and the net folding, all these helping things they do. But still, once we do any uh, training program related to a whale shark application or anything related to conservation, we do. Everyone will be involved. Because they'll be available at the spot. So sometimes recently we have done a training from Andhra Pradesh itself. There are around 20 people came to Gujarat to get the training from us regarding whale shark conservation and this fishery industry in the Gujarat coast, how it works and what we do and all. So we do this training programs for this Andhra people. And
This I'll tell you the spots of Uppada near Kakinada, where the whale shark is found, and around Hope Island.
Yeah.
These are the hot spots.
Yeah.
Also, Marine National Park in Gulf of Mannar and Gulf of Kutch. These are the hot spots.
There used to be a project in Andhra Pradesh as well. Agri Foundation used to do the project.
They're still there. They're still
now
there.
it is completed.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. You got a lot of compliments from our members, JBD, Umesh Mani, and CSS Bharati, and Farida, and Bakshi, and Amrita, and everyone. So a big special thanks first to BC Chaudhary Garu, who has come in. You are like the, guest appearance. We are so happy you came, BC sir. I'm so thankful. And your answers were so crisp and very to the point. I really loved them. Just like Charan and Farooq, I really appreciate their enthusiasm. They were so enthusiastic since my first phone call to tell them to please hold a webinar for us and tell the whole world about my members, about whale shark. Thank you, Charan and Farooq, so much. God bless you for doing, for saving the whale shark for us. This is my small token that I dedicate to the whale shark. So I let people know, some people know what it goes through and how the conservation project has turned it around. Thank you so much. BC sir, you want to say something?
No, I just thought, this is a teamwork. I think, almost everybody has an equal role to play. And I think, it is not just Farooq, it's not just BC Chaudhary or Praveen or Sajan John. It's actually WII's marine team. It's the teamwork. But we give much more credit to the fishing community than the team. It is without their wholehearted support. And also the money that is coming from the Tata Chemicals, the money that flows from the Tata Chemical to fund our project. I think, most marine projects are extremely expensive projects. And I think, in the, from the years, the Tata Chemical came into being 2004 till now, they must have actually sunk in something to the tune of 5.5 to 6 crore. So it's not a small amount of money for a chemical. And marine programs are very expensive programs. And it's a credit to the Wildlife Trust of India to raise the money and to let the people continue with the zeal and extreme sagacity with which they are working. And I would like to compliment my two research sociologist and a biologist for giving the webinar and for answering. And this is the kind of opportunities they must get to let their work be known to the world, not just India, but to the world. That is how we send them to international conferences and so on. And they get an opportunity to interact with the other researchers and so on. And it is important that they also get an opportunity to interact with common people and in forums like Deccan Birders. And I am a Deccan Birder, so I am very happy to be.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You'll always be. So thank you, Charan and Farooq and Praveen also, and BC sir. Thank you so much for this fantastic webinar and taking it on the stage and telling all of us about the whale shark. So Gautam, would you like to close with our society details, please, Gautam?
Yeah. I guess as you all know that, Deccan Birders, majorly we go to 2 trips every month in like locally in Hyderabad, in and around Hyderabad. So, and also we do indoor meets where like this, now this is like a webinar platform, but we actually meet in indoors also. So see, we have memberships like where if you are really interested in joining Deccan Birders, so we have life membership, yearly membership and all. So you can find all the details from deccanbirders.in, which JVD Uncle has already shared. So even if you're not a member, you can join us for the next birding trip. So we will be, resuming very shortly. So by following all the social distancing and all. So yeah, please visit our website so you can get more details. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Charan and Farooq.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, Charan. Bye, Farooq. BC sir, bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye and good night, everyone.